human life is so important. It's so precious. And yet in our society today, human life more and more is taking a backseat to other interests. In the second part of our program, we're going to talk to one of our attorneys about a very important case that we've been involved in to try to save the life of a little toddler whose life hangs in the balance. And we're going to talk to our attorney. I know you're going to find that very interesting with regard to the kinds of real struggles and challenges we're facing today when it comes to the sanctity of human life. But in the first half of the program, I want to address something head on that I think is very, very important. You see, we at the Pacific Justice Institute have been attacked by the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, people may be saying, well, I never heard of that group before. Well, it's a very leftist extremist organization. Like many on the left, they started off with good intentions. They decided to fight the KKK, white supremacists, to defend individuals, minorities who were being oppressed, particularly in the South. That was fantastic. It was very meritorious in what they were trying to do. But as the money poured in, this organization, the Southern Poverty Law Center, became very, very different. You see, they don't just attack hate groups that are real hate groups. They've decided to attack groups like the Pacific Justice Institute, churches, ministries, wonderful organizations doing great work for the kingdom. They've decided to attack them as hate groups. Media groups like WorldNet Daily, political organization, conservative political groups like conservative Republicans of Texas and others. They decided to attack simply because these organizations and others have a different worldview. And most of them have a biblical worldview when it comes to social issues, like dealing with the LGBTQ agenda and their movement, for example. So if you have a biblical worldview, watch out, you could be labeled a hate group by this organization. Now, make no mistake, their false accusation against Pacific Justice Institute is a calculated measure to provoke contempt. And not just contempt, I think we also believe it has the potential to promote violence against the Pacific Justice Institute as well. There's already two case examples. One dealing with a case in Colorado where a man took out a gun and shot someone because he was inspired by the hate group list of the SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center. Another example deals with the Family Research Council and how they were attacked and one of their employees shot. And unfortunately, he didn't die, but he was shot. And why? Because this person went to their webpage and saw, oh, this is a hate group. I'm going to go and attack them. So it's a threat of safety for organizations like Pacific Justice Institute. And we're taking some measures to try to increase our protection of our employees. But it's very real, very, very real. Let me set the record straight. Pacific Justice Institute has never, in our 20 years, we've never promoted violence against anyone or any group at any time. We believe in respect, mutual respect, in terms of the humanity and the dignity of all human beings. That's what we're about. That's the true Christian worldview. And we have maintained that consistently for such a long, long time. We intend to continue doing that as we move forward. Now, this organization also, I want to point out one other thing about the SPLC, and that is their finances. This organization isn't just mistaken. No, we're talking about countless numbers of churches, ministries that are under attack, but also they're making lots of money off their decision to promote vitriol and division and hatred themselves by engaging in these very unethical practices to create vitriol, to vilify, and then to isolate those who disagree with their far leftist agenda. And in fact, it is so controversial what they're doing that I want to quote something about an individual. His name is Stephen Bright. He's the president of the Southern Center for Human Rights. The Southern Center for Human Rights. He's at the University of Alabama. Now, this is not a conservative organization. This is known as definitely on the left. Well, as it turns out, he was invited with regards to an invitation to a banquet for a Justice Award named after the SPLC's founder, Morris Dees. Now, Bright called Dees a, quote, con man and fraud. This is the founder of SPLC. And he added, I'm just going to read exactly what he wrote about this organization so you understand what a questionable and unethical organization this is. He says, quote, the positive contributions Dees has made to justice, most undertaken based upon calculations as to their publicity and fundraising potential, are far overshadowed by what Harper's described as his flagrantly misleading solicitations for money. He has raised millions upon millions of dollars with various schemes, never mentioning that he does not need the money because he has $175 million and two, quote, poverty palaces, buildings in Montgomery. He has taken advantage of naive, well-meaning people, some of moderate or low incomes, who believe his pitches and give to his $175 million operation. He has spent most of what he has been sent to him to raise still more millions, pay high salaries, and promote himself. This was someone from the left, not from the right, who's committed to human rights and decided to spell it out and decline an award because it had this organization's name on it. That's what this organization is about. They started off doing some good work, helping to fight, terrible groups, hate groups like the KKK, white supremacists, neo-Nazis. And that was great. But as they got bigger and made more money, they discovered that they apparently needed to come up with other groups to hate and to spread hatred about. And that's exactly now what they're doing. And they're attacking wonderful ministries doing wonderful work. We at Pacific Justice Institute are far from a hate group. Let me give you some examples to set the record straight. Dealing with immigrants, we have represented and we're representing immigrants coming from countries where they're seeking religious asylum because they've been persecuted because of their faith. Their lives are on the line. The lives of their family are on the line. Perhaps their church has been burned down. And we're representing them. Why? Because Pacific Justice Institute is about true human rights, true humanity, true compassion. We also have another example dealing with the sanctity of human life. And we're going to talk about one of these cases in the second segment. But we've gone to bat to help two little babies and toddlers in two different occasions where they're trying to pull the life support system from them. These precious little children, they're African American. They're born to families that couldn't represent themselves. We at Pacific Justice are stepping in. Why? Because no one else is. And we believe in the preciousness and the sanctity of human life. We're not about hatred. We're about love. We're about compassion. We're about understanding. And we believe in that. We also have gone to bat for countless numbers of individuals who are victimized by intolerance because of their faith, because of their faith and their beliefs and their desire not to compromise their faith. We go to bat for them because of the intolerant people out there who victimize them because of their faith. What makes us unique, though? Let me get some more details specifically about what makes us unique as an organization. Of course, as a given, we're not about hatred at all. We defend parents' rights, and we get involved in case matters that others don't even want to get involved in. Other organizations say, "Well, we'll just do religious freedom. We'll play it safe." No, the love of Christ compels us to not just play it safe. So, for example, we're fighting legislation in California that lets teenage boys go into girls' locker rooms and showers and visually violate young teenage girls. Now, these boys have gender identity dysphoria. Most of them really have this condition, and they need love and compassion, counseling, understanding. But is it loving? Is it compassionate, really, though, fully to let them go into girls' locker rooms and visually violate girls? Well, because we stand up against that, we're attacked by SPLC. We've also gone to bat and we're defending Christian nursing homes, where they're dealing with legislation where they're attacking nursing homes, private Christian nursing homes that will have to let a man who has gender identity dysphoria be in the same room, change, dress, etc., with a woman. And by the way, if the nurses accidentally refer to her as a him, according to this bill, they can be criminally prosecuted under the penal code as a criminal because they're true to themselves and how they define things. This isn't hatred. This is about defending religious freedom, love, compassion, and the rights of parents. And even in public schools, where young kindergartners are told and read something about transgenderism, we defend the rights of parents to opt their kids out. That's about compassion, not about hate. So we get involved in things where other organizations won't trod because the love of Christ compels us to do so in terms of religious freedom and parents' rights. We also work hard to empower organizations and ministries. We don't just take on defensive cases. We also have resources like how to legally evangelize public schools. You can download that from our website at pacificjustice.org, a booklet on parents and students' rights in public schools. You can download that as well from our website. CDs on your legal rights to evangelize in the workplace and called Faith in the Workplace. That's also for free on our website. Why? Because we want to just not only defend people of faith, we want to empower them to live their life robustly for Christ. We also are much broader than other organizations. We give emergency counsel to families who have social workers knocking on their door, threatening to take kids from families. We do this work all without charge because we really believe in the work that they're doing, of those parents and families and their rights to raise their children according to God's principles. People from other countries, as I mentioned before, seeking asylum. Other groups don't even touch those. But we go to bat for them. Why? Because they need help. We also go to bat for the little guy. We don't just take on, this is real important, folks. We're very unique in that we don't just take on the big game cases. We work hard to make sure that everyone gets help, that everyone gets a representation they need, whether it's a tiny church or a ministry or an individual in the workplace. We work hard to make sure they get representation without charge. So we don't just take on the big game cases. And this is very important. This is what makes us very unique, helping people all across the United States. In fact, every year we help several thousand people, all without charge. Financially, people say that they get the biggest bang for the buck given to Pacific Justice Institute. Why? Because we don't have near the budget. Most of our resources goes into our legal teams, helping our attorneys. And we have offices, donated office space. So we have our resources go heavily into helping people. We don't have a large room filled with 100 people opening fundraising envelopes. No, we help people, and people get the biggest bang for the buck supporting our work, helping real people in a real way. We at Pacific Justice Institute also are financially accountable tremendously. I encourage people to compare our information on ECFA with other organizations. Take a look at our finances. Take a look at how we use our resources. And we are, once again, a part of ECFA, a wonderful accountability organization. We have a 20-year track record, and we have a huge network of volunteer affiliate attorneys that allow us to help more people on the West Coast defending faith, family, and freedom than any other legal organization of our kind, bar none. And we have this network across the United States. So bottom line, if you need help, if you need assistance, go to our website, pacificjustice.org, and there you can also sign up to get our case updates. And if you have any doubts, check us out. Take a look at our cases. Take a look at the testimonial videos of people we've really helped. And I believe at the end of the day, you will be inspired one way or the other to become a part of the Pacific Justice Institute team. And folks, if you decide to become a part of the Pacific Justice Institute team, we have a wonderful gift of appreciation to you. It's a book written by Mike Huckabee, former Governor Mike Huckabee. It's called God, Guns, Grits, and Gravy. It's a hardbound book, but get this, it's an autographed signed book by Governor Mike Huckabee. And it's our gift to you if you decide to support the Pacific Justice Institute on either a one-time or even better yet, a monthly basis for any amount. So just go to our website. It's pacificjustice.org, pacificjustice.org, or pji.org, pji.org. And there you can sign up to get our case updates, our press releases. You can also, if you request assistance, we can help you. And as I just said, if you'd like to support our work, it's right there. It's real easy to do. And we can't do our work unless there's people out there stepping up to help us in what we do, with what we do. We don't get any money from the government. We are supported by moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, and churches out there who believe in what we do to make a difference. So go to our website, pacificjustice.org, pacificjustice.org. Now, we have with us on the line one of our full-time attorneys who coordinates litigation in Southern California, Michael Peffer. And he's been actively engaged in a case I alluded to earlier in the show regarding the sanctity of human life, dealing with an individual who is right now desperately trying to stay alive. Michael, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, Brad.
Now, Michael, this in the past we've dealt with babies and toddlers. This is not a baby or a toddler. This is a grown adult. Tell us about this individual and his present condition and why we got involved.
Yeah, Brad, thank you so much. And as you know, these are the kinds of cases that humble us here at PJI, because we're actually where the rubber meets the road in trying to save a man's life. And this man, back on July 24th, he had a heart attack, and he entered the hospital. And because he was unconscious and in and out of consciousness at that time, the hospital started taking extraordinary steps, or maybe I should say stopped taking the required steps, in our opinion, of treating him, and instead insisted that he was brain dead.
Wow.
So this happened for a number of days, and they were encouraging the family to pull the plug, so to speak.
Right.
And,
yeah. Well, if he was brain dead, and there's no neurological activity, no brain waves, then that's protocol. So what was the problem here?
Well, the problem is that he was responding more than the family felt comfortable with to have them basically take him off life support, and so they called us. And,
now, Michael, you said he was responding. So he's responding to external stimuli? That doesn't sound like someone who's brain dead.
Yeah, well, therein lies the problem, and he was, for instance, for several days they were saying, no, you gotta take him off life support, donate his organs, etc. And but meanwhile, all of a sudden they were noticing that he was actually trying to take a breath, and so again, that doesn't sound like brain death at all. And in fact, that in and of itself does not even meet the criterion that the hospital holds.
Right. And what hospital are we talking about here?
We're talking about Riverside Community Hospital, in obviously in Riverside.
Good. I like to call institutions out when we see these kinds of actions being taken against humanity. And so we were contacted. We got involved. What's taken place, and sort of walk through the steps so people can understand where we are in real time as we record this program.
Yes. Well, on August 1st, the family contacted Pacific Justice Institute, and we got involved. We immediately prepared a petition for the court to have them the hospital barred from taking this gentleman off of life support. And mind you, Brad, this is a hard-working guy. He immigrated here. And he did what he's supposed to do. He works hard, and he's retired now, and so he's voiceless. At the time they called us, he doesn't have a voice because the family is not even being listened to there at the hospital.
Yeah, so he illegally immigrated from Mexico, I believe, right?
That's correct.
Came to America, loves freedom, loves America, and then this situation happened to him. And now he's struggling to live, and his family is probably somewhat bewildered because here in the United States, we're known as a nation that promotes human rights. We're known as a nation that respects the value of human life, at least in some quadrants we do, and we're known for that. And yet they're going through a tremendous struggle right now with this precious member of their family hanging in the balance. And what's being done in terms of evidentiary wise? What are we doing to help make the case?
Well, one of the things that they have wanted all along, the family that is, they want a second opinion. And what happens here is when they declare a patient brain dead, it basically isolates that patient, and nobody wants to give that patient care because, after all, he's dead, according to the hospital and the physicians that work there.
Right.
So we went in on August 3rd, actually, and we asked for the court to put a stop to this, and the court granted our motion and set a follow-up hearing. And now there have been 4 follow-up hearings, and each time we have been able to prevail PJI and keep this man on the life support and being treated to the extent the hospital will actually treat them. And
otherwise, he would be, he could be dead now.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And so now, Michael, we got 4 victories already in sustaining his life. We can't just get that by going to court and say, Your Honor, we just don't believe we want the cord pulled because we just don't believe it. You have to actually provide evidence, right, to be able to make that kind of a compelling argument.
That's right, and now we are about to go to another hearing, and that hearing will be the hearing for evidence, where we will be able to cross-examine their doctor and decide here, have the court decide on an evidentiary basis, that is not on an emergency basis as we have so far, but on an evidentiary basis. That
right.
means we bring evidence, they bring evidence, in order to once again give the family time to find a medical doctor who can help them. And
right.
That has been very difficult for the family. Again, this creates a life of its own once they declare the patient brain dead.
Right. Now he says it's difficult. I mean, basically, this hospital has not been cooperating. The hospital hasn't said, oh, here's a list of outside neurologists that you can call upon that can come in and do tests. Here's a MRI, here's EEG, EKG. I mean, they have not been cooperative, would you, in your estimation, right?
They have not. I mean, I will say this. They did give a list, but these are all people that work in that hospital. And we were looking for someone objective,
right?
Hopefully outside the hospital system.
Right. I mean, I think that's pretty much a no-brainer. It's like saying, well, yeah, we're if you think we're incorrect, we'll have one of our people, one of our employed people whose job is on the line to come in and also give their assessment. No, that makes absolutely no sense at all. Bottom line, would you say if they had cooperated, there's a good chance we wouldn't be here, because then we would have been able to have easily brought in the other neurologist. But we also know, Michael, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, this couple is not just basing their opinion on just feelings. It's also based on observations of this man and his interaction with external stimuli and voices and things like that, right?
That's exactly right. We have used declarations from the wife of this gentleman that's on life support, and the son of this gentleman that's on life support, and provided their observations of things that, at least on the outward, appear to be inconsistent with a brain death. Right.
Well, Michael, I appreciate the work that you're doing, and folks out there, I encourage you to pray for Michael and this whole hearing. We'll keep you updated. If you go to our website and you can sign up to receive our Legal Insider, it's free. It's a weekly update. This is one of the kinds of cases that we're going to be covering. Please go to our website and get yours. Michael, keep up your good work, and I once again encourage people out there to be lifting you and this family and this man up in prayer, so that justice can be done.
Thank you, Brad.
True justice. Thank you. So, folks, there you have it. It's our God-given freedoms we're talking about. Now, let's choose to keep them. I'm Brad Dacus of the Pacific Justice Institute. Have a great weekend.